everyone who is here, we'll move forward into our meeting. Okay, Nate?
Okay. Yeah, typically, of course, as we know, under the open meetings law, you've got to allow members of the public to attend. And you have to also have, in order to be a voting member of this body, you have to be present at the meetings. But given the unique nature of what's going on around the world right now, and the danger of having more than a certain number of people in a room, Governor Cuomo, through Executive Order 202.2, has authorized and suspended certain provisions of the open meetings law and permitted meetings to occur without the public being present, so long as there is a video conferencing of the meeting, it can be seen, and that it is recorded, so that the public does have a mechanism in which to view the business that you're conducting. The second component is he also ordered and allowed for the teleconferencing of these types of meetings. And so you do have a quorum here today in person to conduct business, but the individuals on the phone, in addition to you, can also vote on any measure that is before this board that requires a vote. So those that are on the phone, so long as they can be heard and they have the same materials that you all have, and they can be heard by the video conferencing, it would be appropriate for them to also.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
With that said, we're going to start with our roll call, and then we're going to do our Pledge of Allegiance, and we will move forward down the agenda. Okay, roll call. Mr. Kuzman, can you do our roll call for us?
Yes. Do we have our sheet? And this is just to acknowledge whether you're present or not. So, Dr. Evans Brown, are you present?
I'm present.
Mr. Terrence Hurd, you present?
Present.
Ms. Hope J, are you present? Ms. J is absent from the meeting.
That might be her right
Say it one more time. Ms. Hope,
Sorry, I'm not the greatest with technology. Can you hear me?
yes, Ms. Hope J, are you present?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can, we can hear you. Ms. McCosey,
Yeah, present.
Mr. Petrucci, present. Dr. Rivera,
Present.
Mr. Scott,
Present.
Ms. Woods,
Present.
and President Belton Cotman.
Present.
You have a quorum and a full membership, either here or on the phone.
Thank you. With that said, please let's rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do today, we're going to skip the board recognition. We're going to go to the superintendent's update, in which Dr. Brown Hall has been nice to provide that for us, and our board members have specifically asked that information be provided to our listening audience as well as ourselves about what's going on.
Absolutely.
What would you like?
So, as you all know by now, the schools are closed until April 20th. So students will return on April 20th, and that does include the Easter break that begins on Good Friday, April 10th, and students will be returning from Easter break on April 20th anyway. So schools are closed up until then. There's been a lot of planning, a lot of work that has taken place over the last few days to make sure that students are provided meals and their coursework while they are out. So what ended up happening at our school buildings, our elementary buildings, teachers actually were in the building on this past Monday. They received a chart of items to include in every packet that was being prepared for students, grades pre-K to 8. Those were lined up in a central place in the school building so that parents were able to come on Tuesday and pick those packets up. Every school building actually arranged for their own time. Many schools staggered their time so they would not get a mass of parents or students at one time. The same thing was done at the high schools. because high school students, grade 9 to 12, were able to pick up their laptops. And they were able to sign them out. And then, because most of the high school work is being pushed out electronically through Schoology and other platforms, that's why the high school students were able to sign out their laptops. So that took place on Tuesday. Now, for elementary students who were not able, or their parents were not able to come to the building to pick the items up, there were specific directions sent to our elementary buildings and our buildings that have grades 5 to 12 for their 5th to 8th graders. The material was to be packaged up with the student name, address, and zip code on it. So this morning, all of those items were picked up. So if the student's work and packet was not picked up on Tuesday, it was picked up this morning, taken to our service center, and sorted. It was sorted and then loaded on our yellow buses for delivery to the students' homes this week, Thursday and Friday. So we are sure that every student received their work packet up to grade 8. So we are very proud of those efforts. We're very proud, and we thank the efforts of our teachers. Although a chart was developed by our CAI staff, our curriculum assessment and instruction staff, many of the teachers specialized their packets too for their students, because we had, a 3rd grader, this is what should go in the packet. But teachers went a step further and specialized their packets too for their students. So we were very pleased with that. Food service around the district. So we used our community schools and a few other sites also are designated as food service distribution sites. They are open every day from 11 to 1, so that any student, not just a Buffalo Public School student, but any student is able to go to the food distribution site and pick up a lunch and a breakfast for the following day. And that takes place Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Not only do we have the food service department there, we also have 2 nurses stationed at those community school sites and food distribution sites from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if there are any needs that the families have, a nurse is on site also. Mr. Kuzma?
Just because it's for the public as well and for the board members, I did speak with Jim Weimer today, and I think
Perfect.
Starting next week, they're going to go to Monday, Wednesday, Friday distribution in order to try to minimize exposure as best as they can. They're still going to allow people to pick up the same number of meals. So if you come on Monday, you're going to be picking up breakfast, lunch for Monday, breakfast, lunch for the next day, and then you can come back on Wednesday. I'm going to talk to Jim once that's finalized, so we make sure we communicate with the public, but I just wanted to be clear about that here today.
Awesome. And the list of our 28 sites where you can pick up the food, it is listed on our district website. Excuse me. Staff working from home, I wanted to bring that point up also.
Okay.
We are reducing our staff here in central office. We are complying with the directive of not having more than 50% of the staff, but individuals are able to work from home are doing so. There are some things that must be done in City Hall to keep the work flowing, so we've developed special schedules for each department. For example, our mailroom, some finance staff, payroll staff, just so that we get payroll out, we get our bills paid, and we get our mail moving along. So many of our central office staff, most of them, are working from home. We want to also thank our custodial staff and our engineers in our buildings, because while staff are not in the buildings, they are definitely going through with a thorough cleaning of all of the buildings. Very similar to what they do over Christmas break, Easter break, summer break. They're doing that every other day just to make sure that every nook and cranny is cleaned, so that when we return to our buildings, we won't be afraid of any type of virus or disease being left in our buildings. I think all the communication has taken place as quickly as possible. We wanted to make sure we stayed in touch with our parents and our teaching staff, who have done a phenomenal job, and our clerical staff has done a phenomenal job also, keeping our offices running, answering the phone calls from the parents and the public. So I do want to thank all of our staff. Dr. Cash reiterated that yesterday when he was on the press conference with the mayor, but all of our staff in the district have just gone above and beyond. Our board members have been very supportive of all the work we've been doing, and we appreciate that also. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is that it? Thank you so much. I really want to commend Dr. Cash, you, Dr. Brown Hall, Nate Kuzman, and all the other administrative staff during this period. You guys have worked very well and very efficiently. I can share with you that I was on vacation and I'm monitoring what's going on in Western New York, so it really wasn't a real vacation. But in addition to that, I was monitoring the area that I was in. And it was as if it was a parallel happening, you know, parallel universes. You know, identical things were happening throughout. So it's consistent, you know, that the area I was in, which is the outside of Phoenix area, is consistent with what was going on in Buffalo and what they're doing nationally.
Awesome.
And so we're really, you know, I was really proud to see that. And Dr. Cash has had shared with me that he's done this 5 times over, so he felt like he was it was deja vu and he was working it out. So that's where we are. In a time of crises, every I, every T does not always get dotted. So if people didn't feel that the board was receiving the information in a timely way, it was done as efficiently as they could, all things considered. You either get the information out or you sit back and you inform everyone else. What I have asked, in the future is that if there is an opportunity for there to be a lag, that the board is notified, that you know, if you're going to do an immediate press conference, that you wait 20 minutes until after all the board members are notified or whatever. This is what you need to do, because we need to know what's going on, because giving us the same information that the press and everyone else is getting at the same time does not work for most of us. But I appreciate the effort and I understand what you guys are doing. Now, does any other board members have any questions in regards to this, so that we can put this behind us? Larry, Scott?
Yeah, I just want to add that, you know, commend the superintendent and all the staff for everything that they've done. I know, you know, leading up to this, they were spending hours per day trying to plan for this eventual closure, and I know folks were working diligently over the weekend. You know, right from the superintendent on down to teachers, aides, all the staff in our buildings, custodians, our bus staff, and as well as food service. Everybody, just it's an incredible effort to be sure that we are meeting the academic, nutritional, and medical needs of our students. I'm sure there's going to be, you know, things are constantly changing and more needs and concerns are going to arise, but I feel confident that the staff will be ready to, you know, adjust and make sure we're meeting those needs. And also just, you know, the communication was challenging because people were trying to make sure we're getting needs addressed. But I'm impressed that at times, you know, something simple as what are we going to do with central registration and letters that went out, and how do we register our children? And we were able to get that communication yesterday and communicate that to parents, what the next steps will be, that you will have a seat, your child will not lose a seat, and there's going to be steps that will proceed after this closure eventually ends. And just the last thing too, you know, there's so many other folks out there, parents, community members, that I think have been helpful. And I just want to commend one person, the co-chair of the Buffalo Parent Teacher Organization, Rachel Dominguez, who really did a phenomenal job in communicating with parents, in particular on social media. And then also, you know, at times letting us know what she's hearing, questions that are coming up, and kind of being that bridge between the board, the district, and parents on the ground.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anyone else? This is
So, yes, all of that. And I do have a couple of questions that just, you know, getting on social media and making sure that everything that was communicated to us, you know, making sure it was all right with you to communicate that all back out. So I appreciate you answering like many emails, and you're kind of the go-to guy, Dr. Brownhouse. So thank you for that. But one of the questions, particularly from Rachel and folks who have been asking, is the electronic devices for the elementary school students who have been on Schoology, who, and I'm asking, I guess, for myself as well, with a 4th grader who does a lot of his work on his tablet. Is there something that's in the packet that's equivalent if we're not going to be able to get those devices? Or is there, you know, I understand that this is all in real time, so,
Right.
but that of all the questions that have been coming up, that's just been a major one on social media and just across the board.
And that was one of the issues that came up as an executive cabinet when we were discussing with Dr. Cash is the management of that, right? The rollout, because we really had to prioritize. When I went to the meeting at BOCES with the other superintendents, the director of instruction said, at this time, you want to make sure you prioritize your level of instruction and service delivery. And so we thought we had to really utilize our ITCs, our instructional technology coaches at the high schools to give out those laptops because those students are taking the Regents exams and they would need to make sure they have the laptops to be able to get on their Regents Review, the Khan Academy, all that stuff. And the elementary kids, we were able to copy and use their consumables and send their books home for them. And so that's why we did the packets for the elementary kids, and then we did the laptops for the high schools.
So I noticed that too. I just wanted to make sure that the listening audience knows.
Absolutely.
You know, when you go through your packet, there is some equivalent
There
to, you know, and
There
including the
absolutely is.
links. And for those who don't have electronic devices, you're also able, if you can get on your
On your
phones
phone.
as well.
And that's, can I just say this? I forgot to mention it. We are putting the Schoology app, the downloadable version, on the district website, so you're even able to download it to your phone. Thank you for saying that.
Very good.
And one more question. Those students who have physical and occupational therapy, is there an equivalent in their packages as well for the elementary school students?
I don't know, and I'm going to get an answer to that question because I know Dr. Rivera asked a question earlier about like special ed and CSE evaluations and stuff, and we're still waiting for directions from state ed about that, and they're sending new guidance every single day.
Okay, thank you.
So I just want to say, you know, to the entire district, everyone stood up there.
This is Lou Petrucci speaking, people.
Thank you, Sharon. Everyone stepped up to the challenge. That was great. It was amazing to see just the ability to marshal all the resources and get all the information out. It was just crazy. I mean, it was good to see. I mean, it was truly impressive. The only question I had, I know we've gone back and forth. I was just wondering if there's any updates. I know that many of our community schools are somewhat removed from there are far long points of travel, long distances of travel for many of our students who don't live next to a nearby community school and it's beyond the normal walking distance. Is there any talk about maybe expanding these, like a free lunch program, to other areas?
So what we have done, Dr. Ramona Reynolds is putting together, she is actually our volunteer coordinator for the district now. She's our assistant soup of parent and family engagement. She's our volunteer coordinator. So she is putting a list together of volunteers because some people have volunteered to be a conduit, you know, to be able to get food out. So we'll have to see where that is going. But I know that list has been added to Enterprise Charter School. Actually, and I sent an update to the board earlier. Enterprise Charter School is picking up 600 meals a day. So if anyone's in their area, they can get them there. I believe Westminster Community Charter School, West Buffalo Charter School has been added to that list also. So there have been other places that have been added.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yes, Paulette Woods, and then I will take the questions if there are any from the audience that's not inside the room. Thanks.
Okay.
Or the members, I should say.
I did put on my webpage the information that churches and community groups that want to be volunteer sites, distribution sites, that they could contact Tyler Williams. She was the coordinator. But the question that a number of people are asking, is there a phone number for Spectrum? Because it was said that Spectrum will give free Wi-Fi during this time to parents who don't have money for 60 days. Parents are asking about that.
There is, and it's on the Spectrum website. They have it right on their website on how you go about doing that to get the 60-day free Wi-Fi. They do have it on their website.
Okay, so parents are asking about that.
Can I just correct one thing? Because I know earlier when this was all being planned, we were looking into possibly churches becoming distribution sites, and we can't do that because there's no way at this point in time to certify them as a distribution site. So that's why we couldn't do churches, but church members are able to come and pick up food for families that they know need it and then give it to those families.
Question, teachers are asking, at this time when the schools are closed, are they supposed to be reporting, or are they not supposed to be reporting at this time?
So a very detailed letter was sent to teachers yesterday. It was sent to all district users yesterday, teachers included, of course, and it outlines that they will not be reporting. But there are some things that we are asking them to do, you know, like check in online, see if students or parents have questions, being responsive and things like that. So there are things that we've encouraged teachers to do in that list, and many of the teachers are stepping up. We have teachers who are online checking work, checking homework, and constant communication with their students. So the teachers are really stepping up during this time, but they were sent a communication yesterday.
Okay, the last question that I have is basically from the teachers. They were saying, is there any way we can tell our parents that that overwhelming package of material that they sent them, not to be daunted by it, but to take one lesson at a time, because their parents are saying, my God, what is all of this stuff? They've never seen so much.
Remember how I spoke earlier about us sending out a chart to what must be included, but many teachers specializing it and really individualizing it for their students? Many teachers actually developed a cover memo and told parents how to chunk it. But what we've asked teachers to do, because principals are doing this, to be in constant contact with their principals, because principals are the front line, and they'll be sending regular updates via ConnectEd and email to their parents, because parents do enjoy hearing from their school principal.
Okay, I just want to be sure that parents know
That they don't have to do all at
that
once.
just
Yeah.
take it one at a time, because
Absolutely.
this is new for them to be
You're very right,
acting
Ms.
as
Woods.
teacher.
Correct.
Okay, board members,
Okay.
do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. This is Dr. Rivera.
That's Dr. Rivera.
So first, I just wanted to express my gratitude for all the work that teachers, staff, and administration have done to support our community. Beyond that, though, beyond that deep gratitude, I really appreciate it. I wanted to ask a question about students who are referred to counseling at Say Yes clinics. I had a question from a parent asking me if that counseling is going to continue and how they would find out. Has anything been done with that yet?
I'm not sure. I know we've been in communication with Say Yes, and they have been supporting us. As far as counseling at the Say Yes clinics, I will have to find out, and I'll be able to email the board members an answer, and we can get that information out.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That was my only question.
Okay, this is Terrence Hurd.
Yes, Terrence. Board member Terrence.
Yes, I would like to. The first thing I would like to say is congratulations to the team, congratulations to Dr. Cash and to the staff that have been working tirelessly day and night. We've been taking emails close to midnight, concerning the issues, and people are up in the morning at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning sending more emails out. So this staff have worked tirelessly, to address these issues. Corona, and I just want to, give my thanks, and I'm happy and I'm proud to be part of this staff and working together, with this team. Did a very great job, and it was nobody knew this day was going to come, but by working together, I think that we surpassed any goals that we ever thought we might be able to achieve, as a team and as a community. I do have a question. I was able to visit a couple of high schools on the first day where they were giving out the foods, and it was great. Seeing the community come out, and I think that East High School had most of their tablets, and Bennett High School also had only 9 tablets left. So everybody came out in support, and the kids came out, which was an idea that turned out to be a wonderful idea. I would just like to add to that there was some cafeteria workers. My question is that was working handing out foods and packaging foods that wasn't wearing masks. Is there any type of way that we could prevent any type of contamination among them?
Yep,
That's one question.
I will follow up with Bridget O'Brien Woods to see what the protocol is, to make sure we're following the required protocol.
Okay. So the next question was about the mental health, because we had a number of parents that contacted about the mental health issues, and
their children receiving protocols they had, prior to that, and you answered that with the said yes. By could you please inform us also so we can communicate that with the community, and we've been taking calls with churches and community that want to help, and Dr. Reynolds, Ramona Reynolds, been very helpful. Communicating with her about all the people in the community that want to come out and work with supplies. But my last question would be concerning that was listed that about supplies. We're giving up breakfast and lunches and possibly dinners, but then they said to come back for other supplies. Could you please tell the community what other supplies that you're thinking of, or that can be given to families?
So when we originally talked about other supplies, what we were saying is that if this shutdown of schools, if the governor extends it past April 20th, what we would do, we would get another packet of materials together for students, and we would have it available by zip code at those food distribution sites. So say I live in the 14215 zip code, I would then maybe go to one of the community schools in the 14215 area, say I'm a 5th grader, and they would give me the 5th grade packet so that my work can continue. Clarify a little more about what type of supplies, because I know some parents we're talking about toilet tissue or milk or the type of supplies they may need for their home. So just for clarity, what type of supplies that we offer. I was not aware of that. That is not something that has come up in our executive planning to issue supplies like that. I was not aware of that.
And I just received a couple of calls. What type of supplies that we'll be affording families, so that they understand.
This is an educational institution, Terrence, and we're going to focus our efforts on educational things. So if it turns out that, like Darren, Dr. Brown said, Paul said, if it turns out we need additional things, however, Erie County is still running a government, as well as the city of Buffalo is still running a government. So I think certain questions need to be directed to them. I think we're doing very well with our social service piece at this point. I think the board agrees with me on that.
Yes.
Okay, everybody has to carry their load as well. Okay, and so if their people don't have the basic things that they need, then they certainly need to be calling their councilmen and their county legislators. But we can't do everything. We can only treat, and what we're really concerned about at this point is the impact that this is going to make on our district, a struggling school district. So we need all our efforts focused in on educational concerns. And so that's where we are. Any other questions out there? Okay.
Hi, this is Dr. Kathy Brown. I just want to say, again, kudos to Buffalo Public Schools for making a concerted effort to serve families and kids in this time of COVID-19. In terms of social services is still operating. There's a number of food pantries, and I think as a school board, we've done a wonderful job to post information on social media that the school district does not offer, such as, toilet paper and the big needs. So I work for the Buffalo Urban League, and we've been calling parents and families, pre-screening them in terms of what their basic needs are. So when we get information, I noticed that other people such as Jen, Paulette, Terrence, yourself, Hope, have been posting information that's vital to our families. And so families to do everything. And Sharon's right. Local public schools are struggling. We can't be everything to everybody. And I think we're doing a wonderful job, providing breakfast and lunch, for school district children 18 and under. But there's a litany of social services out there, and as we see them, we will post them and provide it to the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'm sure Elena would not hesitate if you forward this information to her. that we could set up a community billboard or something, she would be happy to do so. Our only concern is that the information is accurate if we're going to post it on our website. And so if you do refer something to her, then that would be your responsibility to make sure that it's legitimate and that you have done your due diligence to make sure that it's accurate as well. Yes,
Can I make a
Jim.
statement? There has been many different scenarios where information is going across the social media, and if it concerns our district, and I know we've all been diligent, board members and staff, around making sure everything is accurate, but if something doesn't look right, we need to make sure that Elena and you know, that we run it by the district first, because there was a back and forth on many levels over the schedule and the community schools offering up the meals. The flyer had gone out a little early. It wasn't entirely accurate. The listening public needs to realize that everything is happening in real time. And if you are communicative with us, you have the patience for us to do the due diligence to make sure everything is accurate that gets out. It'll all be, it will work much better. We are all in this together, and the pushback when things may not be as quick as you might think they should be is, quite frankly, it's a little insensitive considering the situations we're all in. So if we all work together and make sure we're putting out proper information, that would just be miles ahead of where we have been when there's confusion and disarray.
Okay, so with that said, the superintendent's update is concluded. We're going to move forward. Dr. Brown Hall has taken the liberty to reach out to people who had called in to be on the speakers list. We have approximately 4 people who would like to be called. Other speakers said that they would submit their request in writing, or they will wait until the next meeting that we have, or whatever. With that said, I am not going to read the entire spill that we do every month, okay? Because we don't have people that are speaking, but when we do get the individuals on the phone, we will give them a brief statement of being clear that they are not to use employees' names, right, and that this is still being heard by people, and just to be aware of that. Because other than that, we would have to read this
each and every time,
and that doesn't work.
Makes sense.
So, Dr. Brown Hall, will you reach out to our first person? Her name is Nia Badger, parent, and concern is for school number 81.
Hello?
Hi, is this Miss Nia Badger?
This is.
Hi, this is Darren Brown Hall. I'm the Chief of Staff and Clerk to the Board. It is your time to speak right now, so I will have you. The Board of Education is listening. And Mrs. Cotman wants to just share some guidelines first.
Perfect.
Thank you, Parent Badger, for your concern and for sharing your concern to this board. We just want to remind you that this meeting is a live meeting. It is being aired, and that out of respect and according to our guidelines, we require that you do not use the name of any board employee. However, if the issue you are dealing with requires additional follow-up, staff members we will tell you at that time who will be contacting you to do so. And we just ask that you are civil and courteous, and that you take into consideration that all residents, especially our children, are listening. And what can please share with us? We are giving you your 3 minutes. Go.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, just firstly, I just want to thank you guys, first of all, for just ensuring the safety by closing our schools with the coronavirus, and just putting the children first in that area. So thank you.
Thank you.
I know that with the coronavirus, that things right now are uncertain. We have a go-back date of April 20th. And I'm not sure. I just wanted to be on record today just to lay a foundation. Again, I've already written 4 letters concerning my situation, and I'm pretty sure that right now the virus and returning to a new normal is going to set precedence over everything else. So just when things get back to normal, I just wanted to put on record now that I'm still just as concerned. But when things get back to normal, hopefully that, I can pick up where I left off with having, the ear and the floor of the board as again.
No problem.
So I've written, but my concern is I have a 5th grader and a 2nd grader that attends school 81 in Buffalo Public School, and there was an issue with bias in grading, and I'd written the teacher via Class Dojo a few times and let her know that we were working as a team because I was concerned about some poor grades. And I can never get quite like a clear answer when I was asking to look at, like the grading that came back. And the teacher expressed to me one day that she asked my son after a long process. I know I only have 3 minutes, so I can't go into great detail, but you can see my previous 4 letters for reference. She asked my son, my 5th grade, 11-year-old child, if he wanted to fight her. This is by her own admission. I hadn't spoken to my son. I heard her account first. And she completely instigated the situation. I called the school principal. He agreed. We set up a meeting to not only discuss that, but to discuss the possible bias in grading. He asked her, he agreed that, the grading wasn't so concrete the way she was explaining it, and for her to provide, the return the test and homework and classwork so we can just kind of like get a handle on how she was grading. When that time came, she did not do it. And also subsequently, like a week or 2 from the first incident I told you about her asking him the violent question, do you want to fight me? She pushed him, and she put her hands on him, and a report was filed. The principal said, that's out of my hand because I can't condone that. She said she didn't recall, and that's kind of like the culture of that building. My second grader was also... her hair was pulled when someone asked the assistant principal at the time, asked her, the teacher said, I don't recall. And so my request was to send my children to 64 or 156 because the school that they had gone to was already a school in good standing. And I had checked both niche.com as well as the Buffalo Business First.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay, so yes, you've expired with your 3 minutes.
Okay.
What we will do, of course, this is a very important issue. Dr. Brown Hall is here. He will follow up on this and make sure that, and I'm sure you will be here getting a call from him accordingly, okay?
Thank you
and
so
we're sorry
much.
that you've had this incident with
I
your son.
understand that right now the coronavirus and the safety of our children takes precedence, and I just ask for the courtesy that when things return to a new normal, that you guys really consider my request.
And
Everybody stay safe, be blessed.
And before you go, just for the board's clarification, I know that Associate Superintendent Cantan Dabney and Associate Superintendent Dr. Tanja Williams have been in touch with you, correct?
They have.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. But there have been questions about some of the things we talked about. So when we have time to go into it in detail, I like that time.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys stay safe and healthy.
Thank you.
For
You
this
too.
call.
Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Board members that are on the phone, if I could ask you to mute your line until you're ready to speak, because we're getting a lot of feedback. So if you could mute your line, I greatly appreciate that.
Okay. Darren, you want to make the next call?
Yeah, right away.
Tawana Johnson, concerned citizen parent, daughter MST.
Hello, is this Ms. Tawana Johnson?
Yes, it is.
Hi, this is Dr. Darren Brown Hall, Chief of Staff and District Clerk for the Buffalo Public Schools. It is your turn to speak to the board. You will have 3 minutes, but prior to that, Board President Mrs. Belton Cotman will review with you what the rules are.
Okay.
Thank you, Parent Johnson. We just want to remind you, and that so that you're aware that this is a live meeting. It is being streamed, and that the community is watching. We ask that you do not use any of our employees' names. We also ask that you remember to conduct yourself in a civil and courteous way, bearing in mind that people of all ages and children, including children, are listening to this. The board is very interested in hearing what you have to say, and we thank you for taking this time this evening to do so. Your time begins now. Please address.
Hi, my name is Tawana Johnson. I am a parent of a student at MST Middle School. I do have an issue or a complaint with the way that my daughter was handled by the principal at MST. My daughter got into trouble where the principal said she was insubordinate and said that she was suspending my daughter for 2 days. I asked for more information. The principal would not give it to me, just stating my daughter was suspended. She sent my daughter home. I sent my daughter back to school the very next day. The second day I kept my daughter home, and that was while Buffalo Public was out for a break for a week. During that break, I received a letter saying that my daughter could return on the next Monday. If I had a conference with the principal, I went into the school to have a conference with the principal. The principal, again in the conference, couldn't give me information on what my daughter said from being originally suspended. Decided to end the conference with no explanation, and then told my daughter to return on Wednesday, and this was on Monday. Again, I asked for more details. The principal would not give them to us at all. I told my daughter that I was coming to City Hall to speak to somebody like a supervisor or something of the principal, and told my daughter to go on to class because she had already been out for, quite some time. And the principal, the very next day, I sent my daughter to school again. And at that time, the principal called me and told me that my daughter was expelled from the school for trespassing with explanation. And I did contact I did contact the board to make an official complaint. I had a hearing. My daughter was able to return to school after the hearing, but my daughter was suspended multiple times without really no explanation, and I just wanted the board members to hear that.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Just for clarification for the board purposes, I believe Dr. Tanja Williams, who's our associate superintendent, was involved with this also, or actually spoke to you about this. Is that accurate?
She sent me an email, but we really didn't speak about it.
Okay.
Okay. Can I ask a question for my records? Your return,
Sure.
the letter, your return date. What was the return date on your letter?
The original suspension, my daughter return date was February 24th, and I was to come in for the conference with the principal. I came in, and then the principal just ended the conference and told my daughter to come back on that Wednesday, which would have been the 26th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the board at this point?
I'm willing to work with the principal or anybody with suggestions on just, working with the children and the family opposed to just kicking the children, out of school.
Okay, I agree with that. Maybe we'll have a conversation because that school sort of falls under me, although it's a question as to whether it's in Paulette's zone.
She's shaking her head.
It's in Paulette's zone.
I have a kindergarten.
So maybe
we'll fill you in.
I'll get additional information and be back in touch with you. I appreciate you calling and stay safe.
Okay, thank you very kindly. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay.
I do not have.
All right. So we are now calling reaching out to Nyambi Presley.
Somebody's line still isn't.
Please mute your phone lines, board members that are on at home or wherever. Thank you. I had so funny. He was going to say, look what I had up here.
Hello?
Hi, is this Miss Presley?
Yes, it is.
Hi, this is Dr. Darren Brown Hall, District Clerk and Chief of Staff for the Buffalo Public Schools. It is your turn to speak to the board. You will have 3 minutes. But first, President Sharon Belton Cotman will read to you the rules.
How you doing?
Okay.
How you doing, teacher aide Presley?
Yourself?
Presley, I'm fine. Thank you for taking the time this evening to talk with us. Please note that this conversation and this board meeting is being live streamed, and that people from all over are listening. We ask that you remain civil and courteous. You also do not list any of our board employees' names during your conversation. And we just appreciate you for taking time and understanding that it's important that your message is heard, and we appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
So go right ahead. You have 3 minutes to speak to us.
Good evening. My name is Niambi Presley, and I have been a teacher aide for 5 years. Currently, I am a teacher's aide at School 39 in the self-contained 6th grade 1211 classroom, and I have an associate's degree in criminal justice, and I'm a graduate of Bennett High School, and I am a single mother of a junior at Leonardo da Vinci High School. Tonight, I want to talk to you about what it is like in my classroom. I started at North Park Academy and moved to School 39 2 years ago. I love my job and working with my students. My job is stressful, difficult, challenging, but I love it. Every day I support my students so they can learn and the teacher can teach. Every day I work through student conflicts and help them become the best learners they can be. I love my job and my students so much that last year I still went to work when both my fiance passed away here at home, and I found his body on my lunch break, and then my grandmother passed away. This past year has been very challenging to me as I was left alone in the classroom for the entire month of October when my teacher went out on leave in September due to an injury. My job changed from supporting students to now leading the students. I wrote lesson plans, graded papers, assigned work, none of which is my job, but I could not let my kids fall behind. It was not until November that my classroom finally got a teacher, and I did all of this, without receiving a raise. While my expenses and costs have gone up, I love my job, but it's hard to keep working at a place that does not pay us enough for what we do. I'm asking that the district please support us with the same dedication with which we support our students. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Teacher Aiden. We appreciate the work that you're doing with our children.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the board has heard you loud and clear. Is that
Thank
right,
you, ma'am.
board? Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you remain safe. Go ahead.
Can I ask one question, Miss Presley? Are
Yes,
you
sir.
are you at School 48 at 39, the younger kids, or are you at MST at 39, the 5
I'm at
through 8?
MST at 39, sir.
Okay.
Okay, we want to be clear of that. Okay, thank you very much for your devotion, and we
Thank you. You're
appreciate you.
welcome.
We really do. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking the time to call me.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay.
We have 2 schools at 39. I just wanted to get
Right, I'm glad you
clarification
got
of that.
clarity on it. Our final person is Wendy Mistrada, parent, DPCC collaboration. So Darren is reaching out to her.
Hello?
Hi, Dr. Mistrada. This is Dr. Darren Brown Hall. How are you?
Hi. Oh, that is very strange because I'm watching you live, and obviously it's time is different.
It is delayed. Correct.
All right, let
So,
me mute it. Okay.
no problem. So it is your turn to speak to the board. Mrs. President Belton Cotman will go over the rules with you.
Okay, Dr. Wendy Mistrada, I think you know what I'm going to say.
I do.
I think you know the spill. That, and you just told us that you're watching us on TV, so we know we're live stream. We're just asking you not to mention any any names of our employees in our district, and that you remain civil and courteous, as I know you will. So we just had to do that because we did it for everyone else, and we didn't want to treat you differently. Okay. Okay, your 3 minutes are on. Please share.
Okay, thank you. All right, good evening to all. given our extraordinary circumstances, these comments are necessarily different than I originally intended. First of all, I am grateful for the efforts of everyone on our board and in our district as well as our community to quickly respond to the needs of our families. As the president of the DPCC and a member of Parent Congress, I am committed to assisting in all ways possible. Parent Congress has been in close contact in support of the district and our families. And I am watching this meeting live, and I wanted to agree that Rachel has absolutely been a great leader. But I also wanted to note for you all that we designated Jessica Bauer-Walker as our point of contact during this time frame. She's been working very hard to coordinate efforts to address all the needs of our families within a whole child model, and I hope you will all feel free to reach out to her. I am very well aware that these immediate issues take precedence over the original purpose of my remarks. However, I am certain that we will return to some form of normalcy, and it is my responsibility to share the concerns of the DPCC with that future in mind. When I was with you for the Parent Congress presentation to the Executive Affairs Committee on March 4th, I shared that a pressing concern was the lack of a process for individual parent groups to report to the superintendent and the board. As you know, the Parent Congress has only met with the superintendent twice in the last 9 months, and those meetings were focused on our joint concerns. As you may well imagine, this has not allowed us the opportunity to discuss concerns that arise in our individual parent group meetings. Historically, the DPCC's process is to address the concerns raised by our representative leaders in terms of board policies and district procedures. Thus, whenever an issue arises, we request that district staff attend our meetings to share such policies and procedures with our membership for our discussion. We are always seeking to understand any challenges and collaborate on solutions. We have great partners within the district, and this process usually works very well. However, when this process does not work, our next step is to take the concern to the superintendent. Unfortunately, we have not been able to do that this year. We have 2 very specific requests for assistance outstanding with district staff since last fall. And I'm speaking tonight out of a sincere desire to resolve this issue and move forward with our partnership requests as soon as the school year allows for the resumption of DPCC's business meetings. And as always, thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Mistrada. With that, we will end your call, and we will further work on, the conversations that we've had with the Parent Congress as well as the individual parent groups. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for calling in. Okay, with that said, may I have a motion to accept the previous board minutes?
So move.
Second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any no's?
Aye.
Okay. Yeah, it's a time delay. Okay, thank you. All right. So moving forward to committee reports for March the 4th, and we did not have a committee for March the 11th, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. So March the 4th. However, if the committee chairs want to share something, they can do that at this point in regards to what their next committee is going to be or what their previous one. March the 4th, you guys want to go first?
Okay, the Finance and Ops Committee met, and thank you for chairing while I arrived late. But the main thing that was discussed was an update on the budget processing. We are in the 2020 budget process. The school-based budgets won't be completed until March 26th. And the discussion was basically that somewhere within the first 2 weeks of April, the board is asking for an update on what was received so that we can have input in making sure that there's an equity layer added to this year's budget. Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Executive Affairs Committee met on March 4th as well, and thank you, Ms. Woods, for allowing some of your time to our committee meeting. Majority of the meeting was spent planning an event that obviously is not going to be taking place anytime soon. And this event was a public forum that we will be looking into ways to maybe do this remotely, or we're definitely putting some things on the table other than having a gathering but we as a board have all agreed that there has been not just folks that are speaking non-factual, misinformation about what this district has been doing in the past, about, putting out data that's years old and just for whatever reason trying to contradict the actual work in progress that the Buffalo schools have been doing and the amazing work that our cabinet and staff has done. So the board has decided that we were going to start being more proactive and start meeting with our community members and actually hold a kickoff series where we were going to have multiple modes of communication with our district around and our stakeholders and constituents around some main topics that have been coming up that we work on. We'll get more into detail with that in the future. I don't want to belabor the meeting, but there are 6 topics, including we actually included, and this was one of the first things we were to speak on, was this pandemic that's going on right now. So just know that the Board of Education is being very proactive around making sure that folks know that no, not everything is 100% perfect. If it was, it would be a totally different scenario right now. But we are definitely in a positive moving, upward moving, data showing improving, productive, nature that we move in. People need to know that. So just know that the Board of Education is no longer sitting still and allowing folks to just, start spewing negativity and trying to turn the other cheek and all of that. We are coming full force. And that's what we were planning for an awful long time that evening. Also, we did, and I want to state this publicly for our folks, with the Parent Congress, the Executive Affairs Committee had met the previous month with the Parent Congress folks just to make sure that we have a structure that is in place for us to be able to tell constituents about the Parent Congress, what they're doing, what their role is with the district, and just have more clarity around that. And we asked that in March that they would come and give us an update, because that was the request from February. And they did so, and they have been working so hard. I'm very, very proud of the fact that not only is the groups that are in place doing wonderful work, they are coming together, they have chosen issues to work on, but they do have a structured way in order to meet, in order to come together. The superintendent will be meeting with them again. That was the statement directly from him. So very proud of the fact that our district is coming together, and knowing that the Parent Congress is going to be working with so many other committees, as it's going to be like a work in progress from now until forever. It'll be touching on different committees of this board. So as of right now with Executive Affairs, you're done with me. I'm pleased. We're pleased with where it's going, and we hope to, work with you on the issues you've chosen soon. So thank you.
Can I just say something on that note? Because we just had a parent leader make a statement that there are issues that have been outstanding since a while back, and it has not been addressed. I think that there needs to be some sort of a format established where when each organization or each parent group have a meeting and they have a concern, that they follow a certain protocol, so that we don't have a situation where it's out there and no one has addressed it. Okay, if you I don't know what that would look like. It may look like a form or whatever, a carbonated form or whatever, but at least your concern would be documented. You would have it, you'd be able to send it over to the next person, and the next person would send it over to who's going to handle it, and then they follow back. I don't know what that would look like, but I do have an idea of what a form might look like, so that it's about communications, okay? And so no one is not trying to answer someone's question or concern. But trust me, just like, with the fires that are being put out right now, things rise to the top and things fall down. So I think we need to ask them to consider developing a form of communication. And as a result of this meeting, these were the items per se we discussed, and these were the things that we want to move forward or whatever. I don't know what that looks like, but I think we need to talk about being a little bit more clear with our communication process. Excuse me, our communicative process, because there's a lot of communication going on, and we're just not getting it all the time. So we'll work with that. Very proud of our Parent Congress. And this is a shout out to the Parent Congress, but it's also a shout out to the other parent groups that are working independent of the Parent Congress, and who are doing things in our school districts as well. So I would wish by the end of the year that we have a complete list of who those organizations are within each school, so that we can know who our partners are.
Can I add, what you mentioned is definitely, I feel, necessary, and I want to extend that, if possible, when we look into this, Dr. Hall, around making sure that it's not just the parent groups who have concerns that are the ones that are to answer this form. Maybe they can come up with it so that groups across the district, whether they're involved in the parent groups or not, their concerns are just as valid. This Parent Congress, is a separate entity as to an individual group. So if we do have that form available for every parent group, but maybe the Parent Congress comes up with how that looks and works with the district on how we can do that. And that I was just making sure that we didn't just limit it to the Parent Congress individual groups, when there are so many others who have yet to really either become a part of the Congress or are doing work right now.
But what I would do is I would want the Parent Congress to act as a true Parent Congress, right?
Right.
Because, for example, everything doesn't get to the governor's desk, right? It passes the House, the Senate, and then, so if there are concerns from a parent group, they can bring them to Parent Congress, and the Parent Congress decides what they go to meet with Dr. Cash about. And the reason that's important is because if every parent group keeps submitting these forms, we can be inundated with forms, right? And that's how items can remain for a very long time. But if they go through a process and Parent Congress says, okay, these are the 3 things we want to talk to Dr. Cash about in this meeting, because these rise to the level of their concerns for all of us, right? Mm-hmm. And then Parent Congress acts as a true Parent Congress and take those to the superintendent, just so that we're not getting forms from all these parent
They
groups.
Develop the form, they figure out how that works, they work
and then
with
it
the
funnels
district.
through Parent Congress. I would ask that it work that way.
Are you listening, Parent Congress? 'Cause
I think that's a conversation we'll have with Tanja and Dr. Reynolds, and we'll move that forward. But I do think it's important that we have a little bit better path, a way to communicate with our Parent Congress.
I'm writing that note.
Okay, let's see. So, Lou, do you have anything to share with us?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I went to the Erie County Association of School Boards Executive Committee. They're very concerned about, again, this was prior to all the schools closing, but they had just stated how they had been in constant communication with all the districts, how all the superintendents across the district had basically all got together and communicated. We're all working together towards the common goal. At the time, they were waiting for guidance from both the federal level and at the SED. But once they got it, it was nice to see how they all kind of coordinated, worked together, yeah, it was very nice. It was nice that they elected Dr. Cash to be the speaker on their behalf also. So that was nice to see as well.
That's very good. Larry, do you have anything?
Are we all giving updates?
Well, no, I'm just, since we're doing a committee update, so I just had you at there. I didn't know if you had something that addressed with one of the kitty ties and
well, just quickly, in February, I visited 6 high schools, research lab at Bennett High, information technology at Bennett,
research,
the alternative school, Riverside, and Burgard, and Lafayette as well. And just overall, I was just really impressed with staff, with the I spoke with. It seemed like students really were connected to their buildings, and the unique, innovative opportunities that these provided at these unbelievable, really impressive to me. As far as concerns that seemed to resonate was mental health staff, the need for more mental health staff, music and art, and bus passes for those that don't meet the 1.5 miles. Other than that, yesterday the Common Council voted to amend school zone safety measures in regards to the lower speed limit. So no longer will it be enforced during the school day, just morning and afternoon. And a camera was moved as well. And to me, that concerns me because I felt like we were having some good conversations. There was some collaboration. And it seemed as if there wasn't a good opportunity for the Common Council to hear from the board, parents, teachers, people in those communities.
Right.
I know the BTF wrote a letter. The Parent Congress submitted a letter saying put the brakes on this and at least hear more from community, from parents, and folks in these schools. They went ahead and voted to make those amendments. So that concerns me because we're about prioritizing the safety of our kids. I know it's an inconvenience for folks when they do get nailed for a ticket, but you know what? We have to slow down around our schools. That's the bottom line.
Thank you, Larry. Didn't Dr. Krusty speak saying that they wanted to keep the level at the same? Wasn't he on record as saying that he wanted, or that he represented the district saying that we wanted to keep it at 15?
Keep it at 15 and throughout the entire day. Because, for example, Da Vinci has kids walking across the street during the school day. Kids go outside during the day. Might be nearby a street and we don't, cars flying by.
I believe the parking commissioner, Kevin Helfer, also spoke at the DPCC meeting about the difference between 15 and 20 in terms of the impact it has if heaven forbid, a child was struck in terms of the survival rate. It's exponentially higher at that for those 5 miles.
Yeah, thankfully they've kept the speed limit at 15. They haven't raised it to 20 as suggested. But
So do you know where the camera was moved from?
it's for Westminster, Bailey, I believe.
Yeah, it is Bailey.
So they added a camera, or
They
what?
they
moved it.
Moved it from that area?
Correct, because many of the parents showed up at the DPC to raise their objections about it because of where it was located. They thought it was too far away from the school because the school's kind of set back, and they said that they were getting ticketed on the Bailey Avenue side. So that was my understanding. It was a response to concerns raised by parents.
You know, my biggest concern is what was brought to my attention by a local restaurant owner who lives in the suburbs. And he basically said that he had a major concern that flashing lights were not put up to notify people. There are people that come from out of town that don't necessarily, until they get used to not doing it, as if people are being, they're in their own habits. And so in the suburbs, he shared with me that they have the flashing lights that let you know that you're coming into the school zone, so you would stop.
Those are going up, or have gone up, I think.
Yeah.
They have gone up. I haven't seen
For
them.
wherever the cameras are and they're being enforced, they're supposed to have the pin lights.
Okay, so I haven't
They
seen
don't
that.
have.
And I also, I appreciate you sharing that 15 to 20 because from my perspective, I didn't understand why I couldn't drive 20 miles an hour, but especially when I'm going down Main Street and the Williamsville School District speed limit is 30. It's dropped 10 down from the standard 40. So it's dropped 10 down, and so I'm wondering what's going on with that.
Do you know, since school is closed, is that ticketing still going on?
No, they're
No, they
delaying it.
suspended it.
Which was why I was interested.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I look at the full impact on it. Mm-hmm. Yes? Parents, is that you?
Madam President?
Yes.
This is I. I have taken a lot of phone calls and a lot of complaints about the traffic lights being put up. I believe that the lights are necessary, to ensure the safety of the kids. But the speed, from 15 to 20, should have been adjusted because most people feel the speed trap and the inner community, this city is going to be affected because for decades they've been used to driving a certain, on the street, and just by habit, they're trying to slow down to avoid, getting a speed ticket and to avoid for the safety of the children. But it's a mindset, and they feel that it should be a longer period of time before the things actually established, with the lights going, just for the reasons that it's habitual, for people to drive down the street or leave to go to work at a certain time and plan their traffic and plan their way. But it's just a tested for also, that should take place so that, because these tickets are extensive. We're looking at $350 tickets, and people, and it will be, I don't know how the suburban situations are, but I know that inner city people can't afford to pay a substantial amount of the ticket at that rate, especially if we got one violation or two violations or three violations without knowing it, and you get 3 or 4 tickets in the mail at one time. That could be, life changing for anybody. To pay those type of tickets with those fines, with the fines reoccurring.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Petrucci, do you know how many cameras there are around the city?
I do not off the top of my head, Turner.
Well, okay, I'm
There's supposed
sorry.
to be 20 that were going to be up.
More than 10.
Right.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if they had
Okay.
all been, because I know they stopped prior to winter, so I know they're,
Okay.
but they weren't all installed yet.
So, Board Member Woods.
Okay, I just want to point out one thing about why we have to put some kind of flashing lights up there. I've almost got rear-ended 3 times because I live on Oxford, so if I go Delavan, I'm at my school 17. A lot of people don't know the school is there.
Mm-hmm.
They see Canisius, they don't see the school. I have to put my flashers on so that I can slow down without being hit. If I go up East Ferry, Buffalo Performing Arts, I can't go either way. And again, people are speeding. And then if I try to go to Elmwood, I've got 3 schools along there. So I am constantly in danger of being rear-ended. And the only way I'm avoiding is I put my flashers on, then I slow down. And I don't know about you, but I have an 8-cylinder Benz. Okay, and with my foot off the gas, it's at 20, and I keep hitting the brake to keep it at 15. So I want some flashing lights so that the rest of the people will slow down, and my life isn't constantly in danger.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer?
I have a question. When this went into place, and maybe I'm behind, maybe I didn't catch up with this, were we as a district informed that this was going to happen?
Yeah,
Well, here's where I missed an email or something, because if it's coming to us, the complaints about it are coming to the board as if the board, because it's a school zone, it's a school, and even though we say it's for all schools, it's across it, it's still coming to us that why did we do this? Why did we make this happen? Why did we? Yeah. So I just feel like maybe it wasn't, if it was put in our packet and we passed it, and I apologize. Okay.
We passed.
I know that there was that, but the way that it was rolled out is what I'm concerned about.
The way the city rolled it out?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That I know what we agreed to do. So yeah, let me make clear. I know what we agreed to do because I was on board with that. The way that it was rolled out, the rumors, I'm not going to get into how, there's so many rumors as to who's involved and what pay and all, all that stuff. I just wanted to make it clear to the public that this was, it wasn't directed just by the district how it's going, how it's happening. The city rolled it out. This is on this is how the city is doing this. It is not just for Buffalo Public Schools. It's for the entire area.
Right.
And it's
just
a
good thing.
It is a good thing. I just want to make sure that folks know I don't know how many of you are dealing with the calls that why did you do this? What were you thinking? How come it's 15 on all? It's a Buffalo school thing. What are you guys doing? How are you working with it? I didn't know of any conversation along those lines. I know what we said we were going to do. Right. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying we need to make that clear.
All right, so we're getting a little off because we. I'm sorry?
President Cobb, can I just add one more thing? There is one issue with the lights because in front of, I noticed the Mikowski School on number 99 on Jefferson Avenue, the lights are placed a block before the school, and people that are coming off the furthering block, which would be, I believe, Dodge Street, they can turn in front front of the school and hit the gas and get a ticket without seeing the lights or any warnings. There's one sign that's there, but when you turn in the corner, you couldn't see that sign, and that was a complaint by a family who said they received a ticket first start off, turning that corner. There's just nothing to indicate but a small sign that that's a speed area for children. So that could be a problem if somebody won't get used to that.
Just a big school building.
Okay, so what my concern as a board member is the revenues that are being generated as a result of this, and how is it going to help this district? From what I heard from a clip from the news, that this was supposed to be something that the school district was supposed to be receiving benefits from. Really? And that's right, and I want to know.
That's kind of where I was getting at. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't get that out, but that was my question.
Okay, I want to know what is the agreement and what's the beneficial benefit to this district, because from what the governor rolled out, there should be a benefit to this district as a result of that. And I want Dr. Caresses or whoever to find out what exactly, how that law was written, because my understanding is that we are supposed to benefit from it financially. And we need all the help we can get.
Amen.
Any of our board members who are not at the table, do you have anything you'd like to report out in regards to committee reports at this point? Okay, thank you. We're going to move.
I do. This is Terrence Hurd. First of all, I'd like to report that on February 25th, 26th, I went down to Albany, the public school district, about our budgeting issues, busing issues, the safety issues with in the city and in our schools. Some of the people that we met with was Shannon Tahoe. She's the deputy commissioner for education and policy. Kimberly Wilkins, she's the deputy commissioner for P through 12 instructional support, and Emily DeSantis, assistant commissioner for public affairs. During this time period, we met with many senators and assembly members, including Senator Shelley Mayers, Assembly Ways and Means, the deputy budget director, Assembly Program and Council, the assistant secretaries and associate counsel, Maria Dormont and Ben Decker. We also met with to address our concerns. Michael Bedinko, he's the chair of the Assembly and the Education Committee. Met with Senator Christopher Jacobs, who represents Buffalo, who actually carried me around the Capitol building in Albany to meet other people and to introduce how the budgeting and lobbying are done, within the Capitol. I also represented Senator Tim Christie and Senator Liz Kruger. She's the chair for the Senate Finance. We also met with Senator Elizabeth Little and discussed this. She's the ranking member of the Senate Education Committee. And we also met with the representative from Pat's office and Assembly Leader Crystal People-Stokes. We met with Paul Nicholson and the legislative district to address the concerns. Some of the concerns that we talked about was in the 2020 and 2021 budget, where our priorities, one of them was we asking for a minimum increase of $1.2 billion in funding over the executive budget. For a year state aid increase of $2.1 billion for our district. We also met with the foundation aid that it must be accelerated and be flexibly maintained. Some of the other issues that we talked about was to reject the executive budget proposed by the merger of the 10 expense-based aids. We also protect the transportation aid and the funding aid so that we won't lose any funding for our transportation. We also want to limit our charter school expansion. We understand that takes about a third of our budget, and if we keep operating as it goes forward right now, with it being limited by the money that we receive from the district, that we'll be operating out of the red. A couple more things that we addressed was additional funding for the ELL, because we have an increased amount in the city of Buffalo that's significant, and we need to address the need so that we can keep on providing our services for the ELL students. We also looked at our special service aids in career and technical education, and the funds must be expanded. That right now receiving about $3,900 per pupil in the formula-based funding set under the special service aid, and it must be increased. And the reimbursement should be expected per student, which is not officially done at this time. We also looked at a pre-kindergarten funding and increasing that. That 69% of the state pre-kindergarten are in education in the 5 schools. And we also look at the funding. The funding levels have not been adjusted to capture the actual cost of these vital programs, and we're looking for an adjustment with that. This is also the school health and service funding must be restored to expanded and increased. We need to do the executive budget cut. Now is being cut by $1.2 million for the city of Buffalo, and also addresses Rochester. Additional targets and funding is needed is ongoing to professional development, and additional resources necessary for teachers and principals and training for professional development initiatives among our training for our teachers. Some other things that we discussed with the senators and assembly leaders with our busing issues about the 1.5 mile rule, and by our kids going to school, walking through neighborhoods that's undesirable, and we're looking at for our children to get to school and find money so that that rule doesn't apply in the inner city, that we may actually look at means of putting our ships together so that we can provide aid or busing for these children in inclement weathers or maybe dangerous neighborhoods or neighborhoods that we see, through even our apps on our phone that shows, pedophiles within the neighborhood, and we want to ensure the safety of our kids. So, and the safety of our children with the gang initiative, that's in the city of Buffalo, and some members of our kids who may be involved with, that type of activity. So those are some of the things that we addressed, and did a great job of speaking with our senators and assembly leaders and defining some type of budget. Governor Cuomo did add that, due to the relationship with the federal government, that aid is being cut to the state, which is really taking a challenging toll on his budget as he distributes up to the schools and schools across the state. So he also said that we must try to find more ways and work with more programs so that we can try to find different ways to address the issues that we need. And he was very proud of the work that's going on right here in the city of Buffalo amongst the district, the superintendent, and the board members.
Great. All right, thank you.
President Hotman?
Yes.
President Hotman, I have a couple of things.
Okay, Dr. Brown.
They must not know.
Okay, so Dr. Revere, Paulette Woods, and myself attended the Retention and Success of Students of Color in Higher Education. That was held at EDC. Mr. Roland Martin was the keynote speaker, and it was a litany of workshops that discussed how it matters to capture students in early grades with at-risk indicators. Also, Buffalo, under the this is Dr. Fatima Morel and Dr. Cash, CLRI Institute Committee held a Urban Forum 2020 on March 10th at East Community, really commemorating the life of legacy of Harriet Tubman. Dr. Goldie Muhammad was the keynote speaker, and it consists of various workshops and presentations. I'm so proud to see my brother's keepers, young people, talk about their business plans. They were very articulate in presenting their activities. It was one group that presented on alcohol and substance abuse and its impact on students, families, and the community. You would have been so proud. And lastly, our Saturday academies are up and running. I visited Lydia T. Wright. They're doing a big job There is coding, art and music, mind and spirit activities, and another litany of activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more reports?
I do have one. This is Dr. Rivera.
Yes. Please.
Okay, so our work session was postponed, but it was only postponed. We will pick it up again at our next work session, where we'll be focusing on special ed. I also, you heard that I attended a conference. I'm also looking into ways to partner with the district regarding strengthening middle school and working with middle school. I'm very excited to get to work with that. At the conference that Dr. Brown mentioned, I just wanted to say our BPS presenters were amazing. I really enjoyed attending their sessions, and I continue to talk about practices and that I can help with supporting the students with special needs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Mrs. Woods.
I just wanted to mention that at the two conferences that were all-day conferences that I did attend, the staff were excellent, presenting a mechanism to monitor how to predict and prevent children from dropping out of school. At the other presentation where Dr. Golden was speaking, the schools presented their CLRT presentations, and they had all of these books for Muslim children, for all kind of cultures, Harriet Tubman books. They had the CLRT effort is amazing. And the principals are really making a difference. And I just wanted to thank Dr. Cash and his wife and School 31, Harriet Tubman School, Buffalo Performing Arts, and the My Brother's Keeper program for attending and marching in the cold a mile and a half for the Harriet Tubman parade. And the children were real troopers. They presented their parades. Yes, Dr. Morale, Fatima was there. So was Candace Morales. And the schools just really supported the effort. But if you look in the Buffalo Criterion, you'll see the picture of Dr. Cash and his wife both marching. Awesome. Also myself marching too. So I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, good. All right, well, with that said, we're going to move forward in regards to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to accept?
So move.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, moving forward. Let's see our exceptions. Lou Petrucci has one, looks like, for number 7. I'm going to say 7A, B, C, maybe?
17B.
Is it 17? I can't see. Okay.
Yeah, it's 17B, Sharon. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring it up again. This is about our recycling. Once again, we have locations where we do not recycle. There are individual efforts, but they do not rise to the level that's been specified both in statute or by the desire of the district to recycle as much as we should. I know there are individual efforts at these places, but for the most part, we were told that they couldn't because of spatial constraints. I've been led to believe that that isn't entirely true, that there are different things that they could do to expand the actual recycling of materials at these locations.
So I noted that as well, and I thought about you when I was reading that.
Oh, thank you.
I do believe that a while back you did a resolution, if I remember right, about recycling. And I think we need to bring it back up to this board and move it forward. If we're preparing our children to be ready educationally, we certainly need to make sure that there's an environment that they will be able to live in, and it's not happening without everyone participating. And if we don't start those habits early in life, they won't make it through. They won't mature into adult life, and then I'm concerned about the planet, and I have fewer years in front of me than I have behind. And so I think maybe it's time to put together a new resolution, Mr. Petrucci, and bring it before the board and see if we can get some new traction on that.
Glad to, President Cotton.
Thank you, I appreciate that, because that was one of my concerns. I'm not going to ask the board to get into this, but I am going to say to the board something that's on my mind in regards to the personnel issues that are going on in our district. And I feel that it's time that we take a look at the costs associated with some of the decisions that are being made and the impact. And I want a thorough look into it. So whoever's up to working with and seeing that happens with us or whatever, I need to have a committee because it's not going to be something that's easy. But I do feel that when we're struggling as a school district to provide our baseline formula that we want to see in every school, that we need to make sure that we are not spending money arbitrarily and capriciously. And as a result of that, I think that we need to look at the patterns that have happened and how we can improve on them to save money for this district. Because I have major concerns at this point, after sitting here since 2011, that we are not doing that, and that to deny children basic music and art, and then to see millions of dollars being given to the unions because we're constantly at war with them. I'd like to see how we can bridge that. And so I want us to look deeper into that. And it may require a special meeting to do so, or a special board committee meeting of such. But I'd like to see it under the finance and ops, and that we work on that piece. And I'm not sure how you want to do it, but if you're in agreement with let's taking a look at it, that we can start talking about reducing some costs in this district. We need to look at it.
I need clarification on the millions.
I know. Me too. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Well, it hasn't been.
Right.
It's been substantial. Certainly our area is still certain saving for 70-day actions, which has been reduced in the past 5 years. Penetration. But we've been much more holding them ahead. Waiting.
Well, right, at one point when I was on the board, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Petrucci, but there was a report that was given to the board on a regular basis as to what was going on.
Outstanding claims against the district, I believe it was.
Okay, and so as a result of that, the board had an idea of what our exposure was. At this point, we don't. So we're going to talk about putting that together. And if you're available, I'd like to reach out to you tomorrow and see if we can set up a time to talk on the phone and maybe have a phone conference.
Well, what I was going to do it today, but
okay.
We've been doing it for weeks prepared for this board meeting. I will include there what our costs have been in terms of our two metrics in the league. What are people claiming and what are we paying on those claims? Numbers and the use of outside. Actually reduce when we pay for outside counsel. And I want to show you that we have done that, and I want to show the board the historical data on how that has worked. So I have all of that stuff ready in my office. I wasn't able to go through it today.
Okay. And
but
so
I'll be ready to do that.
And when you do that, because particularly when I'm looking at this package, there are a lot of workman comp claims, and I'm wondering, what are these workman comp claims about? Is it injury from students on the teachers or what?
We have a list of that, and I remember before, it's been a couple of years since, it was when Yvonne worked in benefits, and she came and presented. Now, in Dana's department, they have a workers' comp person, but we can get you that list also, because I remember that was done a while ago.
Because I'm being told a lot of teachers are being, or staff is being injured by students. They're hurt.
I would say a majority of our resolved.
Okay, so no one's telling that story. Okay, that adults or people are getting injured, and you can also put in there our children if we have any incidents with children who have been hurt by other children, because we need to.
Can I
we
say one
need to
thing,
set
Ms.
a whole
Hartman?
picture.
Because the public is listening, I don't want them to think that it's students attacking teachers. It many times is a teacher might be breaking up a fight and gets injured, but it's not students
Okay,
attacking
good.
teachers.
I'm glad.
All right.
So I want to know what's going on with that, because that equals a lot of additional money that impacts us as far as having to get substitute teachers in there. And maybe we can look at that and see what procedures or guidelines we can put in place to make sure we're not spending money like that. Yes? Mr.
Yes,
Stewart?
President Common, I would like to mention that I have made this request for a review of this area of expense, and our Nate attorney had indicated that at executive session, because it is that type of information, he was going to review that, but I believe this crisis with the virus has delayed his ability to present it, but I'm sure that
I'm ready to go. And
Oh, that's
we've been
great.
ready to
That's
go.
great. And then at one time, Dr. Caressi gave us the outstanding legal, federal, or state complaints against us. There was also
OCR complaints. Yeah.
Is that was OCR or any other things that appear like that? Jennifer, I'm sorry.
Okay, and I also believe that Jeff Pritchard said that he is able to prepare a run of all of the claims expenses that we paid out, so that is also going to be made available. I haven't.
I have all
Okay.
that.
Okay,
Yes.
because this is the budget season. Anything that we're spending money on that's not for our children, we want to review the area and see if there's ways to cost contain.
Absolutely.
So that's what we've been
about.
working
That's
for.
exactly what it's about. Yes, Jennifer.
Since we're on this topic, I just kind of want to bring this back to making sure that we somehow figure out too the costs related to this crisis, right? So how much how much are we dipping into what we need to dip into based on all the materials, all the, the staffing? Is there anything extra? Like, I feel like that when we compare and make sure that in case, we always have some type of fund. I don't know if there is one for something along these
We
lines.
should be looking for additional federal aid and
I'm sure we are.
reimbursement.
I'm not saying we're not. I just would like to know, what is, if there's did it really hit us hard when we went through, all the measures we've done?
I'm sure
It's
that was
amazing. Yeah, it's definitely amazing how things have been done. This is not a knock. This is literally, if we are in charge of the, the budget as it stands, what do we need to make sure we have in the future, for something like this? So I feel as though, it just hit me that hard that we're doing business as usual at this meeting, of course, but there's something going on out there that we all are, personally dealing with, as well as, within our district. So how do we make sure that those ends meet and we address that in this space?
Well, President Cartman, we're always looking for ways of increasing revenues and decreasing and containing costs. And because we have had our staff working so hard and doing these extraordinary efforts, I do believe that the federal government, our president, and our state officials have been saying that they're going to make additional revenues available so we can file extra claims. So we should be making sure we track these costs, because it can be an additional, it can be
I'm
reimbursed.
sure they are. I just want them to
Okay,
share
good.
them with us.
All right,
Yeah.
so my listening board members, do you have anything else? We're about to take our vote, move forward. Okay, all right, so with that said, Nate, would you poll the board, please?
Dr. Evans Brown, how do you vote on the consent agenda?
No exceptions.
Thank you. Mr. Hurd.
No exception.
Ms. J.
No exceptions.
There's no exceptions. It came through a little, but I believe you said no exceptions, correct?
No exceptions.
Ms. Picozzi.
No exceptions.
Mr. Petrucci.
No exceptions.
Dr. Rivera.
No exception.
Mr. Scott.
No exceptions.
Woods.
No exceptions.
President Belton Cotman.
No exceptions.
Consent agenda passes.
Okay, good. All right, so we have two, two other things we need to do. We need to do our bereavement, and then we're going into executive session. Is there something else? Yes, I do. Okay. All right, so, can we, Mr. Petrucci, would you do the honors, please?
All rise for
Our
a moment.
moment of silence for our bereaved members and families.
Bereavements, as noted at the March 18th meeting of the Board of Education 2020. On February 17th, Nicholas Magavaro, father of Principal Michael Magavaro, and father-in-law of physical education teacher Meg Magavaro. Mr. Nicholas Magavaro was also served as an administrator for many years for the Buffalo Public Schools. February 23rd, Marjorie Ann Marcy, a retired Buffalo teacher, mother of Laura Kazmerzak, a teacher at the Occupational Training Center, and also mother of Michael Marcy, a co-worker of mine in City Hall. February 24th, Michael Allman, affectionately known as Hippo Allman, father of Molly Ferrero, assistant principal at South Park High School, number 206, father-in-law of Christy Allman, a guidance counselor at City Honors School, number 195, and father-in-law of Brian Lockwood, a laborer for the plant department. Hippo Allman will be sorely missed by the community. March 4th, Albert Alfonso Scott was the father of Monique Durant, senior data process equipment operator and task test coordinator at the Adult Education Center. March 6th, Johnny Tyson, who was the second oldest brother of Doreen Hill, school clerk at Build Community School number 91, and Laverne Blakely, assistant teacher at Olmsted number 156. February 9th, Natalie Baldwin, who served for 12 years as a food service helper. And on December 23rd, Rosemary Haybear, a teacher aide with 3 years of service. Can we please have a moment of silence? Thank you all.
Thank you. Now, may I have a motion to go into executive session? Excuse me?
Madam President?
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'd like to also recognize, I wasn't there to hand her name in, but I recognize one of my former students at Seneca High School. Her name was Marquita Young. She passed away on November 16th. February 8th. And she was one of my students at her memory also.
If he emails us, we can.
Why don't you email it and we will add her to the next one and she'll get her proper honor. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
May I have a motion to go into executive session for the following purposes? 1, to discuss collective negotiations with the Buffalo Education Support Team, and 2, for the purposes of receiving legal advice. Paulette, second by Jennifer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, in regards to the executive session, the board members who are at home have to be given certain instructions when we come back in regards to that. All right, thank you.
Are you gonna be able to email that to them?
Okay, we're gonna. You want to guys continue forward?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get offline and we'll go from here. Thank you.
Because we really having a lot of static. We can't hear half the conversation that's going on due to the bad phone connection.
So
Well, I'm sorry.
We're not in executive session anymore. Does your question have to deal with that?
Okay, excuse me.
Mr. Herman, if
The
you
board came, let's do this right. The board came out of executive session, and took no legal action.
Wait, no, I didn't hear anybody say we coming on executive session.
The board came out of executive session and did not do, to receive legal advice and to discuss negotiations with the best union. No action was taken. We are out of executive session. If you have a question, you can talk with Nate afterwards. He's available, but we did move forward. Okay? Is there any
I
other?
didn't hear that's my complaint. I don't know if it was a static or I didn't hear anybody make the motion to come out of executive session.
Doesn't need to be. We're in public now.
Okay.
We're in public now.
yeah.
Well, I think that this is not, because I don't know if I didn't hear it correctly, or do I have to be a motion come out of executive session?
No,
No.
So
sir.
there was a question on the
No.
table.
No.
There never has been. Are we adjourning, Madam President?
All minds are clear?
Well, the president didn't ask if anybody on the phone had a question concerning that matter.
Terrence Hurd, if you have additional questions or concerns, you can talk to Nate Kuzman on it. We had ample discussion around that issue and two other issues that we got advice on. So if you have additional questions or concerns, you can speak to Nate Kuzman. But we do not require that you come out of executive session with a motion. You are required to tell what happened in executive session if action was taken, and then we would move forward. No action was taken. I'm sorry if we overlooked your concern, but it can still be addressed. With that said, does anyone on the phone have anything else they'd like to say? If not, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Yep. Stay safe and healthy.
Yes.